Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good afternoon, good early evening. It is Friday, December the 15th, 2023. It is currently 4:31 p.m. Central Time, and I am coming to you live from the Theology Central studio located right here in Abilene, Texas. December the 15th, before you know it, before I know it, we're going to wake up and December will be over and we're going to be in January of 2024. 2023 will be in the history books. It will be over. There's no going back. There's no making up for lost time. Whatever happened, happened. We can't fix anything. You can't make anything better. I mean, it's over. There's no going back. You just have to look forward, move forward, forget what is behind and move forward. So I know we're still in 2023 and I know there's still probably a million things that still need to be done. But if it's okay, I'm looking a little bit towards 2024. And I'm looking to 2024 and I'm thinking about this very podcast, the Theology Central podcast. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about its future, what maybe plans. I don't know. There's been a lot of uncertainty. So instead of throwing out some of this information like like say I'm getting ready to do another broadcast, instead of kind of throwing it there, which in some ways it's better because then people will see the title of that and go, oh, I'm going to listen to that. And then you can share the information that way and the people kind of have to hear it. Instead of doing that, because that to me takes away if I'm talking about we're doing a Bible study, devotional message. If I start with some kind of like 15, 20 minute update on the podcast and what I'm thinking and things that are going on, it just seems to take away from the other stuff. So I always try to put it maybe in its own special broadcast. So that's what I'm doing. So welcome everyone to a podcast update 2024 edition. All right. So as we wrap up 2023, many of you know that there started to be a little bit of concern, a little bit of worry on my part. One, as far as the funding for the podcast is concerned, I'm like, I think the podcast in 2024 is going to find itself in a situation where it's going to have to be able to be supported by, like, it's self-supported. It's going to have to find by the listeners. Listeners are going to have to step up and support it. Or I don't know if we're going to make it into 2024. So I was already getting I just see looking into the future. Hey, this has kind of been paid for by someone else, by others. But I think now it's going to be up to the listeners themselves to really support this. So how do we start kind of transitioning into that? Do I start trying to ask for money all the time? So I started trying to, tell people, hey, you can donate by going to theologycentral.net and trying to offer some different things and trying to talk about it a little bit, not wanting it to become a major issue, but trying to at least say, hey, I'm a little bit concerned. And then as that kind of was happening, it kind of all occurred at the same time, started getting emails from different entities are telling me the price is going up. So you broadcast on this platform. Well, it's now going to be $10 more a month. Oh, you're going to broadcast on this platform. It's going to be more. And in fact, today I just got an email from Podpage, our Podpage, theologycentral.net. It's now going to cost us more money per month to have that pod page. So you take the pod page, we broadcast on Spreaker, we broadcast on Church One, Sermons 2.0 app, Sermon Audio website. That's going to cost more. Everything is going up in price. Every single thing is going up in price next year. And so we're like, wow, this is kind of reaching a level where I don't even know if this is sustainable. I don't know. So I kind of brought that to the listeners. Telling everyone, hey, we're facing a little bit of difficulty here. Hey, so are you willing to support us this much per month? If we could get this many listeners supporting us at $10 a month, I mean, we could fix the problem in no time. And we talked about the money. We went through the math. We went through it all. And look, I'm just going to be honest with you. The response was, to say underwhelming would be maybe the greatest understatement in the history of mankind. It was discouraging, depressing, and kind of frightening. It kind of told me that the majority of the listeners just don't really care. And I'm like, okay, that's That's sad. That's sad. So I kind of got discouraged, a little depressed. But man, what have I been doing? I've been spending hours and hours and hours. I mean, you're talking, I produce like 3,000 episodes, like in a year. Like I don't understand. And it's like, okay, so maybe, I know how many people listen. I see the numbers. We're in the top 5% of all podcasts globally. That's got to mean something. So what do we do? So then I kind of got discouraged and said, you know what? Obviously, I gave a very specific number of how much we need just to cover the expenses. That doesn't even do anything else. That's just to broadcast and to provide all that we provide. And even that, it's not like people were like, hey, I'm willing to support up to this level, but I don't want that podcast to make 1 cent more. You work 50 hours a day. We don't care. We don't want you to get one. Okay. I didn't even get an email like that. It was just like basically silence. Not when I say basically, considering the number of people. I mean, there were some people who stepped up and gave and said that they would give, and that was great. But you take all the people who contacted me, we were nowhere close at that point of being able to pull it off. We were still going to be financially short, and I'm like, this is not good. This is not good. What am I going to do? Do I just try to redo my budget where I can take money and I can try to pay for all of this? I mean, is it wrong to ask for listeners who hopefully benefit from the podcast to try to contribute? I don't know. I was just conflicted. And then I keep getting email after email from broadcast after broadcast, ministry after ministry asking, and they're asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. And I'm like, well, for crying out loud, I produce more content than all of them put together. So then I'm like, well, am I wrong? So then I felt bad. Then I just felt discouraged, disgruntled, frustrated. And I said, okay, I'm just going to kind of stop talking about it. So I just kind of put it on the back burner, and I'm just going to be honest with you. I still don't know exactly where we're going to go, but I became very close to saying, hey guys, it's over. It's done. This is just like, obviously, how do you interpret that? I don't know. Maybe it's wrong to interpret it that way, but I mean, look, you put forth the hours, you got the equipment, you do all, and if it's not really helping anyone, you got to take a hint. I mean, sometimes you got to take a hint and you just you got to go. Well, then as we started getting into December, I think maybe a little bit, and I can't remember the exact date. So anyone who did give, forgive me. But then some people started giving. All right. So I don't want to know the exact dates. And then just the other day, I received a very significant financial gift. Someone donated $500. So here's what we're doing. Before I decided to, I kept struggling, and still I don't know what 2024 is going to hold for this podcast. But I started looking for different things to do. Okay, can I cut this? Can I cut this? So back and forth. Spreaker, our main podcast hosting site, it was going to be like $170 a month. Crazy. So we're going to, the package, the plan that we have with them now, we've canceled. In about 3 days, we're hoping that when that plan cancels, then I can in a sense, sign up for a new plan that's a whole lot cheaper. We're hoping we don't lose too many capabilities. We hope we don't lose too many capabilities. That's what we don't want to lose. I'm going to have to look at it when it's done. I've tried to compare plans. I'm not completely sure. They're assuring me that all of my content's not going to disappear. We're hoping on December the 18th, I don't lose, thousands and thousands of episodes. But supposedly it will cancel, and then immediately I can, sign up for a new plan. And what we're thinking is between what we're going to be paying for basically everything related to Sermon Audio, all the different apps, and everything we'll be paying for Spreaker will bring us it's going to be about $110 a month is about what it's going to cost. Now, it doesn't cover the pod page, which is going to be another $20. So now you're at $130 a month, but we're going to be paying about $130 a month. Well, that $500 comes close to covering everything for 5 months. Someone else sent in a $200. All right. So that gets us that gets us about 7 months. Someone else, someone else donates $50 a month, all right, that covers at least half of what we need every month. That's good. Someone else donates $20 a month, all right, that's about $70. So you put it all together, I think we're going to be able to get through 2024. I think we should be able to do so in a pretty reasonable way. I still need to email Sermon Audio and see if I can just pay for a year. If I can, then that will just knock that out. I'll take, I don't know how much in it, $60 a month. I'm horrible at math. 60 times 12. Okay, you get the idea. I'll see if we have that amount of money. And if we do, we'll just pay it out right out. And then at least we'll know we can go through 2024 making it there. So that's kind of where we are. That $500 gift came just at the right time because I really was contemplating, this is done. This is just over. There's just no way. There's no way we're going to pull this off. That $500 was perfect timing. So, because that covers, that almost covers most things for, 5 months, a lot. It covers most of it. And I'm going to look for other ways. I don't want to get rid of the pod page. One, that's the easiest page for people to go to and donate. And it just gives us a presence for people to find our content. But again, everything, the prices are going up with everything. So, and I know they're going up for you in other different ways. So I know you've got your own financial issues. So I feel good that we have a little light into 2024. I think we're going to be able to make it. I don't know. I can't guarantee longevity. I don't know, but I feel a little bit rejuvenated, a little bit energized, right? Look, here, when you get a positive email, that's great. When you get, hey, I'm listening, that's great. When you get, hey, I really appreciate it, it's great. When you get a financial gift, it's great. Even whether it's just verbal encouragement or financial encouragement, those are very helpful. So I'm grateful that as I'm getting closer to the end of 2023, I feel like, okay, at least for the first 4 or 5 months of 2024. Maybe we're not going to make it all of 2020. Maybe 2024 is where it all comes to an end, and that's okay. It comes to an end. You do the best you can. How people respond to your broadcast, you know what? You can try to chase likes. You can try to chase what people want, but I've refused to do that. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and hopefully there's an audience for it. And hopefully that audience believes in it enough to support it in some way. We messed around a little bit. We're trying to commercialize the Bible podcast, the Bible Hop Quiz podcast. We messed around with commercials for that. And then it becomes issue the type of commercials. And we're like, well, that's not going to work. And so then we did away with it. We've tried a lot of things in 2023, just trying to figure all of this out. And it just adds, it destroys the joy in podcasting, right? You don't want it to be about money. It's the last thing you want. At the same time, it's a lot of work. So that's kind of where we are as far as finances are concerned. But I'm just going to throw out some things that I'm thinking about as far as 2024. As I'm getting to the end of 2023, and you may not see it this way, but I see podcasting, no matter what the subject is, no matter what you're talking about, I see that when we start in January and we go all the way through a year, and especially depending on how you podcast, I'll state it this way. The way I podcast, I'll state it that way. I feel that when you start with their first episode in January to the last episode in December, you really have, in a way, an audio journal. We talk about what's going on in the world of theology. Sometimes we're talking about what's going on in the world. I may share my own struggles. We do devotional things. It just serves as an audio journal. Like if you had a journal, it's like, here's the journal for 2023, right? Here's the journal. And I just feel like it serves as an audio journal. And so as I was thinking about that, I'm like, well, I have a couple of options here. If Theology Central goes away, collapses, no more, it's not supported, fine. I have done it in the past. I know I can succeed. I'm not trying to say that in an arrogant way, but I've created a secular podcast in the past and became the number one podcast in the country, we were beating things like NPR, NBC, ABC, BBC. We were beating everything until Michelle Obama released her podcast and we got dropped down to number 2. So I figured out, okay, I think I can follow a secular podcast. So then I was thinking, okay, maybe I create a secular podcast called 2024 an audio journal. And I just take people through 2024 looking at what's going on in the world, talking about it, keeping track of it, from movies, music, news, politics, crazy, just everything and anything going on within culture, within the world, and just taking people through an audio journal of 2024, creating an audio journal of 2024. I thought it would be fun, that it could be interesting, could be creative. I don't think there's a lot of podcasts that do it that way. So I had an idea, started formulating the idea, started looking for theme music. I started really working. And then my mind was like, well, I could do something similar with Theology Central, right? I could create a series for Theology Central called 2024 Audio Journal, right? Where I keep track of everything going on in the world, but much more from a theological perspective. Now, in some ways, that's what we already do. But, if you take all of our different series, but this series would be very much focused on that, and be themed that way with the right kind of music and the right artwork and everything. So I still may take my 2024 audio journal idea, and I may move it over to Theology Central and use it. I think it would work. I definitely can look at things from a theological perspective better than any other perspective. Because, that's where all my education is. All my education is in that world. And I can't talk about anything else. So I think it could be interesting. And you already, with this podcast, already have a built-in audience, right? I mean, you're in the top 5% of all podcasts. Maybe we could expand the audience with it. I don't know. But then there's another part of me that says, hey, forget Theology Central. That thing is dead. That thing is dead. That's the Titanic, and it's at the bottom of the ocean, and you just haven't realized that you're dead and you've drowned. You just don't realize it yet. Give it up, right? I could do a 2024 an audio journal podcast, secular podcast, monetize that baby. Commercials at the beginning, commercials in the middle, commercials at the end. Monetize it. Send those episodes over to YouTube. Monetize it. Monetize everything. Monetize it. Make a little bit of money, okay? Not only pay for the broadcasting, make a little bit of money. A little bit. I mean, if you're going to spend hours broadcasting, how about make a little bit of money? Maybe a little bit, right? A little bit. I mean, I think most of you would realize that, working hour after hour after hour, a little bit of something. So I cannot guarantee with complete certainty the future of the Theology Central podcast. My personal feelings, this is my own personal feelings, is that there's enough hints that it's run its course. I did what I could. I tried to provide a unique theological podcast that challenges a lot of ways of thinking, and I did the best I could. Some of it was good, some of it was bad. I succeeded some, I failed some, and what it is what it is. And sooner or later, the time is coming. I'm going to hit the delete button and it's all gone and it'll be wiped from the internet and it'll be as if it never existed. I do know that with the way my mind works, I like broadcasting, that I'm going to find some other outlet for that creativity. I'm going to find some other way to broadcast something. I'm going to figure out something. I'm going to end up somewhere broadcasting somehow because I've been broadcasting almost my entire life. I had a radio program. I've been I sent out cassettes around the world. I've been broadcasting in some way, shape, or form forever. So I'm that part of my life. I can't just completely give up. Now, I could try my 2024 an audio journal idea, and it could be a complete failure over in the secular world, and it may not work. I think it could. At least I think so. I'm pretty good at figuring out how to gauge it because you can, with a topic like that, you can cover literally anything. You can talk about something that just happened in basketball last night, or you can talk about hey, Rudy Giuliani was just found liable. He's got to pay millions of dollars because of the lies he told about, these election workers. I mean, we could talk about anything. I mean, I could be literally anything. The new movie Wonka comes out tonight. I could go see the movie and come back and, I think it comes out tonight. It may have come out last night at close to midnight. Whatever the case may be. I could talk about what's streaming. There would be nothing I could not talk about. Well, that opens up the door. And so therefore you're bound to find an audience somewhere. You're bound to find an audience for that. And then I don't feel bad commercializing or monetizing a secular podcast, right? I don't. And then I try to see if I can pay for the broadcasting and then just make a little bit of money, just a little bit of money. Right? That would be to at least make it feel like it's worth my time. So I may end up going that direction. I may just say it's over. Who knows? Maybe Theology Central Podcast, I will realize that maybe there's more listeners who appreciate it than I know. Maybe we'll develop a small group of people who will support. And okay, someone said, I love this idea. And then they said to clarify the idea where Theology Central still exists. Okay. Well, look, all I can say to the person who gave the $500 gift, I can only, my daughter is frantically FaceTiming me and texting me. Rudy Giuliani is ordered to pay nearly $150 million. And so she wants to talk about the news. I'm like, I'm broadcasting. I can't, but all right. But I keep seeing the message pop up on my computer in front of me. All right. But I'm going to close that. Okay. There we go. All right. So that's what we're going to do. So we will be, now we've done this before and we'll do this again. If everything works in 2024, right? If we stay with the Theology Central podcast, obviously I want to continue to do the Bible Pop quiz. I think it's a good idea. Again, feedback is, hard to read feedback sometimes with it, but okay. I know I've been offering big breaks in between the pop quizzes, but I think I've been offering fun, interesting things to look up and to do. So we definitely don't want to get rid of that in 2024. Obviously, we still have law and gospel to work on, and obviously, as long as the church is there, we'll keep posting at least posting sermons. But I'm just going to kind of figure out how to ease into 2024. But that's the plan. Now, hang on. I've got to answer now. My text messages are about 1 second. Now it's about food. All right. So here we go. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to try our best. I'm going to try my best to maintain Theology Central, at least for the short term, right? I mean, obviously, people supported it. That's great. That's awesome. I think in the first 5 months, we're good to go. We'll start a 2024 audio journal for Theology Central, and we'll look at what's going on in the world from a theological perspective. But I may open it up to everything. I may say, hey, the number one song in the country right now is this in our 2024 audio journal. Let's look at it from a theological perspective. Hey, here's the movie everyone's talking about. Let's look at it from a theological perspective. I think that could be at least unique, somewhat interesting. Keep it theologically related, yet create that audio journal that I have in my mind for 2024. And the reason I think maybe when I look back at 2023, I think of a podcast as an audio journal, but looking into 2024, I'm just still convinced, and I could be so wrong, but I believe 2024 is going to be just an absolutely train wreck of a year. I just think it's going to be insanity. Theologically, the church, politically, nationally, every way possible. So if I'm wrong, nothing, I don't lose anything, right? If I'm right, then I would be literally in the process of creating an audio journal capturing the craziness of it. Now, of course, if I would have been, if I had such great insight, I should have been doing an audio journal for COVID during the whole COVID situation. But if you look back at our podcast, it does serve as an audio journal, right? That's one of the reasons I give the date, the hour for all my episodes because they serve as an audio journal entry, right? They serve as an entry. Hey, here is today, Friday, December the 15th. Sometimes I may even mention the weather. I may mention and then we talked about the COVID situation. We talked about political issues. So really the podcast already serves as an audio journal. It really does. At least I see it that way. I mean, I think that's why I do give date, time, and all of that to the hour. I mean, I think I do that because I want that timestamp there because it's capturing that moment in time. It's a live broadcast in real time with real emotions, real reactions. Sometimes I make mistakes. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes it goes okay. Sometimes it isn't so okay. So I think that's the direction we're going to go. We will see how it all plays out. But for now, Theology Central has at least a short-term future. And I'm grateful again for all the gifts. The $500 one just happened to be the one that came right at the right time when I was really going, man, even if you take what everyone is given, we're not there. There's just no way. And so that showed up and I'm like, okay, all right. And hopefully this new plan we're going to come up with our podcast hosting site will reduce the money dramatically and save us, that'll put it in a much more manageable way, right? Because then all we then need is $100 a month. That's all we would need. Where before we were needing at least $200 a month, right? So I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if we can pull it off. Well, we need $110 a month. I know that's still, see, if I break it down to everything we need, we would actually need about $130 a month. Okay. But I always just try to say, well, we'll just take that. We'll just pay for that. But at some point you have to start thinking, if you're spending all of your time and hours at working and you're paying to broadcast, at some point you got to question what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? At some point. So, but hey, Theology Central goes away. It's really no big deal, right? There's a million other theological minded podcasts in the world who probably do a better job than I do. So it's not the biggest deal. I do believe we provide a unique voice and a unique perspective with a unique approach. And I would hope if we stop broadcasting, someone would at least miss our approach a little bit. I hope. If not, so be it, right? You do what you can. I'm not even going to really look at it as success or failure. It is what it was. Whatever, if it's over, it was what it was. And it mattered. Once I hit that delete button, it's gone. It doesn't matter. All the episodes are gone. It's gone. It's done. And that'll be the end of it. So, and if a new chapter is going in a more secular podcast way, where I can, actually support the actually pay for the broadcasting and maybe make a little bit of money, then that's the direction you have to go sometimes, right? Don't know. I look, in some ways I don't feel bad. If I look at all the emails I get and the amount of money that ministries are asking for, I mean, come on. I mean, we have not put anything behind a paywall. I mean, I think we've been very fair. So I don't feel bad that way, but that's kind of where we are. I don't know what the future holds. What you will see is I do love doing this. We will kind of formulate and develop the 2024, an audio journal. We'll develop that series and that podcast concept in real time here on the Theology Central podcast. I'll try out music. We'll try some artwork. We'll try some different things. We'll try to start putting it together slowly but surely. We'll try a couple of test episodes as we end 2023. And as I kind of formulate how I want to introduce it, how I want to do the episodes, then you can say what you like or dislike. We've done that before. We did that with the Bible Pop Quiz. We've done that with other things where we kind of just create an entire idea in real time together. That's another unique thing about what we do here, right? Is you kind of see behind the scenes, like getting the music. Yeah, the one audio file I want to use for the intro music, that's $60. The other one I want to use is kind of as music leading out to wrap up 2023. That's what, I think it's $39. That's $40. See, just right there, just to get music for your podcast. That's the intro that we play right here.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
That's short. That's to the point. Okay. That was what, I don't know, $30, $40, may have been $50. I can't remember exactly. So everything cost. And so it's just crazy how that works. And sometimes it goes great. Sometimes it doesn't. So we will see. But to everyone who has supported, thank you. I think I can give you a strong guarantee of 5 more months of Theology Central. I think I can pull that off. Now, as we move forward, if I start seeing the writing is on the wall, you may find out in your podcast feed, wait a minute, what's this 2024 an audio journal? Wait, and then you'll listen and go, wait a minute, that's the guy from Theology Central. Why is he doing this? It's a pretty good sign of why, okay? It's a pretty good sign that Theology Central is about to go bye-bye, all right? Okay? What do you do? I don't know what you do. Hey, when you do a Theology Central, when you do a theology themed podcast and you're not willing to be on anyone's team, you're like, we're going to do a theology podcast and we're not going to be on anyone's team, right? I'm not going to be on your team. Well, then guess what? People are not going to support you because you're probably going against their team. I'm not going to be on the charismatic team. You know that. Loathe their theology. But any team, I don't care about your team. So we will call into question any doctrine, anything. And we're not worried about who we offend. Well, I think that's cool that there's kind of a podcast willing to do that. But you can see how that's detrimental. Right? You can see how that's detrimental because people will say, if you agree with my theology, then I'll support you. Instead of saying, well, I don't always agree with you, but I like the approach of challenging everyone's team. But not everyone's so down with that approach. All right. Well, I wanted to that took 31 minutes. If I try to do that as an intro for any other episode, that would just be messed. That would ruin it. So this, we contain it here. There you go. As always, first, if you ever do want to support us financially, go to theologycentral.net, theologycentral.net. That's that pod page that we pay, $20 a month for, okay? And it's going up, so maybe 20, I don't know. I'd have to look. But yeah, we pay money for that page, but that's where people can donate. Now, if you are using the Church One app or you're on Sermon Audio webpage or Sermons 2.0 app, if you look for us, Theology Central, there's a give button. You can give there. All of it goes. None of the money currently comes to me. All that money currently goes to Victory Baptist Church. I've said before, the minute that changes, where the money is coming directly to me, you will be the first to know. Currently, that goes directly to the church account. I do not touch it. I just get an email telling me that it's someone gave the money. So, when that changes, you will know. You will know absolutely instantaneous that you will know. So, because that would only be right for you to know where it goes. So, but you can give those ways. You can email me, newsif@yahoo.com. If you want to tell me, give up, just give up. I received some emails like that today. Just shut up, give up, get rid of your podcast. You're an idiot. And that all had to do with my views about the satanic display in the Capitol building, right? That was not well received today. Let's just say 98% negative. Very negative. 2% was, hey, I kind of agree. Okay, I think there was one positive, about 90. I think there was like about 2% kind of made up of, whatever. One kind of very positive, and then the rest was like, you should just, as one person said, you should just die. Okay, so yeah, it's always encouraging when you get those kinds of emails, but that's okay. That's life. All right. There we go. The update's done. You won't hear any more about this until hopefully you won't have to hear any more about this unless there's some major change. You will be hearing, I'm in the top 2%. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And there's at least one person in the top 2%. Yes. Thank you for those who not someone who hasn't wished me to die. I do appreciate it. But you will hear more about my audio journal idea. I still think it's a good idea. I haven't sold it yet. I'll try to sell it more. And then as we get close to maybe that 5 month mark, then I may try to say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, here's the reality. It's over. So thank you. Goodbye. Good night. And that kind of thing, right? That's, yeah. I'll try to make it a dramatic, and I mean, I'm always accused of being over dramatic. So I'd have to make the last broadcast like over the top dramatic. I would have to. It'd have to be like, I would just try to make it like completely fictionalized way that I want to go out, right? Like, I don't know, sound effects of people breaking down the door going, die. And then like I don't know, like a fictionalized murder of myself on the air. I don't know. It would have to be some, or like, I don't know. It would have to be something. Oh, I could start acting like a tornado was coming towards the house and also, and then sound effects. And then like, ladies and gentlemen, we are sorry to inform you that the host of the Theology Central podcast was just killed by a tornado. I don't know. It'd have to be dramatic, right? I mean, you don't want to go out just like, all right, guys, this is the last broadcast. Goodbye. It'd have to be something dramatic. Had to go far. War of the Worlds, the old radio broadcast, right? Remember when it supposedly caused panic? I know there's some dispute of how much panic it caused. All right. So, yeah, that radio drama, War of the Worlds. Yeah, okay, never mind. I'm not having to explain myself. All right. Thanks for listening. Everyone have a great Friday evening. I'm going to go talk to my daughter and wait for my food. All right, everyone have a good night. God bless.